Welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Dee Dee and this is Randy, and as we do every week, we are bringing you adoptable animals from Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center on Rosemont Avenue. And we are going to introduce you to some dogs and some cats and kittens, but always remember that we also have other animals in the shelter you don't see on the TV show. And this week we have gerbils and rabbits and parakeets. And Loudoun County has 20 lovebirds, so if you're interested in lovebirds, you might want to check them out as well. Our first guest is Chloe. And for those of you who watch the show pretty regularly, you're going to remember her because she was here about a month ago. Chloe was adopted by a family in West Virginia. They didn't have a fence, and they said she did not stay in the yard. But a family member brought Chloe in saying that she didn't think that they were willing to do the puppy training she needs. And that would be true if she was in a fenced yard unsupervised, because she's only 11 months old and there's no reason that she can't be trained to come when called and stay within a certain distance of you. But she's way too young to trust that. That would be like giving a 15-year-old the keys to your car. Not a good idea. So Chloe is very sweet, likes people of all ages, sits when you ask her to, and is really a doll how much she likes people. So she's going to make someone a great pet, but she is going to require some training. Despite being sweet and gentle-natured, she doesn't know very much about what could happen to her if she were to wander off. And she is part beagle, we think, which means if she smells a squirrel or smells a rabbit, she's going to think about finding him or her and be pretty persistent in that, and she's not going to notice there's a property line because she has no information about that yet. So if you are interested in a puppy who has all of the things that you can't give a puppy already installed, her love of people, her gentle nature, her compliance, the things that she needs are the easy things to add, which are responding to certain cues to do what you want her to do. And I think she is the perfect size as well. A lot of people like big dogs, but they live a city life, so they don't have a lot of space. She has to offer a dog that can go hiking and camping and biking and jogging and all of the things that you want your big dog to do. But in an emergency, you could pick her up and carry her if you had to. So you can see how much she likes being touched by people, and that's just something that not all dogs come with. So if you can find a dog who has that affinity for all humans, then by all means, that's the part of a family dog that you really want to look for. We are back with our next guest, Skeeter.
Drop it.
And Skeeter is obviously some kind of hound mix.
Drop it.
And
Drop it.
we would not necessarily consider him part pit, but if you have a landlord that doesn't allow pits or pit mixes, then you might want to get Skeeter DNA tested to make sure he's not part pit, because he has short hair and a big head. But he really does look like foxhound or coonhound or some kind of mix. And he's about a year old, and same story as Chloe, although he was not adopted from us to begin with. We're going to neuter him and microchip him. He's already started on his vaccines, been dewormed and defleed and all the stuff we do for all of our animals. But he was turned in because he's a puppy, and the people who turned him in said they just don't have the time to teach him the things he needs to know. But they've done a good job, because he already sits when you ask him to. He's not too bad on the leash. He pulls a little bit, loves toys, is very sweet, as you can see, about someone taking the toy out of his mouth, tail wags all the time, and really likes people. So I think he's going to make a really great pet for someone. And I know what Randy's about to do, because he does this all the time. He is going to see what Skeeter thinks about trading his toy for a treat. And this is one of the ways that you can teach dogs that they don't have to worry about you taking away their toys. Is that if they know you're going to trade them for something and then they'll get the toy back, then they'll get really passive about having their mouth handled, having their toys and food taken, and you really want to do that for all puppies, well, all dogs. One of the mistakes people often make is that they take the toy from the dog and then reprimand him if he holds on to it. What that does is create a dog that's grabby and growls over his belongings, the exact opposite of what you want. So what Randy did there was he asked Skeeter for compliance before he would give Skeeter what he wants. And that's also an excellent way to show leadership to your dog. If you have access to all the resources that they want, toys, the out of doors, playtime with you, then you require them to show you some respect before you give them that access. It instantly makes you their hero and they want to do what you want and they become very biddable. A lot of times people buy into what's called the dominance theory, that intimidating your dog is the way you get respect. And it sounds really good, but it doesn't work. Intimidating a dog might make them do what you ask, but it doesn't earn you any respect and it doesn't give you that relationship that we all want with our dogs, which is like the Lassie movies. And how you get that is by controlling your dog's resources and doling them out for signs of deference. So that's why Skeeter definitely likes this toy, which he's going to destroy. And so Randy is making sure that if he needs to take the toy from Skeeter by emergency, that he can do so. And he's setting up this time with him to get Skeeter to do two things. Number one is give the toy in exchange for food and sit before he gets it back. It's just a beautiful way to build your dog's relationship with you and have your dog act towards humans in the way that gives them a long-lasting place in someone's home.
But you can't see your face that way.
Our next guest, Zoe, is another hound mix who came in to us as a stray. So we've made a guess about her age. She's a young girl. And I want to say about her, as I could have mentioned about our last guest too, do you see how you can see her vertebrae here? A lot of times people will see a dog like this and fear that they're neglected or starving. And it is something to look into. But the way that we find out here, because she came to us as a stray, she could have been a while without food. If we give her a normal amount of food and she starts to gain weight very fast, then it is very likely that she didn't have enough food. But also, body condition scoring is something that animal control officers and veterinarians do regularly. And it is a way that they assess the fat pads on a dog or a horse or any animal to determine if their nutrition is sufficient. And if their nutrition is sufficient and they still look like this, then a doctor's going to look for some disease process, some reason that they can't gain weight. And in Zoe's case, she's able to gain weight. But the reason I wanted to point out on her body and also the dog that we just had, Skeeter, is that a lot of times people are used to spayed and neutered dogs. And spayed and neutered dogs always have more fat on their body because it's easier for them to put on weight. So Zoe's body condition score is about a 4.5 to a 5, and 5 is ideal. And the reason I point that out is because so many people think that a dog that's this thin is being mistreated, and if the dog is intact, not spayed or neutered, it might not be the case. Could be, but it might not be, because the ultimate athletic body type for a dog is, thin and fit. Now, of course, in Zoe's case, we would like to put a little bit of weight on her, not too much though, because although dogs don't have heart conditions and atherosclerosis like people get, they can get diabetes, they can get joint disease. There's all kinds of reasons for them to stay in their perfect fit condition. And Zoe also falls into the class of dogs who loves to be touched by people. The minute Randy started scratching her neck, she totally folded into him and wanted more of that. So everything that she has going for her in her personality will make that all worthwhile. And she's going to make somebody a terrific pet. She's also beautiful. And these are things that are important only because it draws someone's attention to her. It doesn't matter what a dog looks like. It matters who they are and how they act. But when you come to the shelter to choose a dog, what they look like is what you first are attracted to. It makes you want to take them out of the cage and see what they think of you. Our next guest is everybody's dream dog, lab mixes. And what he also has to offer is great manners. He doesn't pull too much on the leash. He sits when you ask him to. He wags his tail constantly. He loves to be touched by people. Just what more could you ask for? But there is a bonus. We have estimated his age to be 5 or 6, which means he has a discounted adoption fee. The other thing is a 5-year-old dog has usually great experience to offer. They are past the puppy stage. They already know what people like. They offer all kinds of things like this wagging tail and the rolling over for a tummy rub. I mean, all the things that he does are so endearing. And sitting when you ask him to, he's going to make somebody a really great pet. A lot of times people worry about getting a middle-aged dog, and as you know, I always say, think about your own age and think about if you had to start a new family and get a second start a new job, wouldn't you want to be given that chance? And this guy is just a doll, and I think he's going to make somebody really happy. He also happens to be very cute. The little white tip of his tail, his little white paws, his white nose, his white tummy. I mean, this is just a beautifully marked dog. He's got a medium coat, so that means that he will need to be brushed a little bit. Sometimes people are excited to get a dog with short hair thinking they won't shed very much. Well, that's not true. But the medium coat does require a little more attention than the short coat. With dogs like Skeeter and Zoe, you just take a damp towel and wipe them down and you're done. This guy may need to be brushed on his tail and brushed under his tummy to keep his undercoat shed out twice a year. So I can tell by how he's behaving that he's going to love that aspect of being cared for. So Buddy is going to make somebody very happy, as will all of the dogs that we've showed you this morning. So if you are interested in any of them, there's a couple ways you can help. Number one is you can come to the shelter, meet the dog of your dreams, take a dog home, save a life. The other thing that you can do is go to petfinder.com or pettango.com and find the profile of one of the animals that you feel is, has touched your heart, and share their pictures with your friends, print it out, put it up in places where people might see it, share it through email or social networking, because getting the word out about the animals that are here in the shelter and how great they are helps people who may have not considered the shelter as a place to get their new pet, or can help people find the pet they've really been waiting for if they just happen to come across the profile. So it makes a big difference to us because we can't reach everyone and not everybody knows we're here yet. So we're going to take a little break. I think Buddy already is taking a break. And we'll be right back with some more adoptable animals at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to Pet Pals. We are bringing you what everyone's been waiting for all year, a sneak peek at kitten season. We have litters upon litters of kittens in our foster homes and at the shelter. If you've been waiting for a kitten, now is the time to come in and pick one out. We have orange ones and spotted ones and double colored ones and triple colored ones and black ones and gray ones and silver ones. So long haired, short haired. So now is the time to come in. And this little tiny girl came from a house with other cats, so she might be a perfect choice if you want to adopt two. She likes other cats, she likes being with other cats, and right now she's away from her brothers, which is making her a little concerned. And they are also available for adoption, Tris and Tobias, and her name is Christina, which you could change. Whenever we foster homes adopt kittens, they choose names that either make a theme for the litter or movie characters from a show they like. They can watch the personality of the kittens develop from their tiniest moments, and then they pick a name for the kittens to come back to the shelter with. But of course, sometimes the kittens aren't used to the name. Randy just made a little kissy noise and it scared her. So she is the shyest one of her litter, and that's why I say it might be nice for her to be adopted into a home with other cats or with another kitten here, because she really does like other cats. Now, you can't ever have a guarantee of that. If you get two kittens, when they turn 9 or 10 months old, they may decide they're not best friends anymore. So you don't need to adopt two kittens to keep each other company. Cats like to be with people, and they don't need another cat. Dogs are usually the more the merrier, but cats not always. But this particular kitten really does like other cats and would probably benefit from having other cats in the home. She is about 3 months old, and our shelter is actually full of kittens that are about 3 months old. So that is the age at which we can spay and neuter them, and they're almost ready to get their rabies shot, which is part of your adoption fee at a vet in Frederick that participates in our adoption program, which is many of the vets. Probably your vet is helping out the shelter by doing that. You can call and find out. But Christina is available for adoption, and as you can see, is a very sweet little girl who was a little bit nervous about coming in here and has done a very good job of braving up. Okay, Randy has his hands full. This one is a doll. So Caramel is part of a very large litter that went through our foster care program. She's also hard to hold on to. She has litter mates, Chatter, Shadow, Sharon, Evan, Bear, and Annie. There are so many of them that they're not even all in the same cage. So this little girl is ready for adoption. In fact, she's already been spayed. So that will make it, it can make it a little faster to get her home. During this time of year, we always do surgeries 3 days a week. And during this time of year, whenever there are spaces on the surgery schedule, we fill them with kittens because we know that they're going to get adopted. What you normally do when you come to the shelter to adopt is you choose a pet that you like. We put them on the surgery schedule and set up a time for you to come in and have an interview. And the interview really isn't to ask you anything we haven't already asked on the application. It's to let you ask us questions about pet care and us to give you information about integrating a new pet into your family the easiest way you can. And oftentimes when people come in and talk to me about getting a pet, and we give the different tips on how you can do it, this is great. Randy has a laser pointer, which Caramel is very much enjoying. We want to tell you the easiest way to bring a new pet into the home. But if you have experience and you have your own way of doing it, that's great. It's just that a lot of people come to the shelter with without a lot of experience, and oftentimes people will tell me, we got a dog, it was easy, the dog just automatically was wonderful, or a cat found us 10 years ago and just became a great pet. So you may have never done it. You may have never brought home a pet that might need some training. So there are a lot of ways that we can tell you to make it easier and we hope you'll be able to put some of those ideas to use. I have had people who have had cats and dogs all their lives, and they come into the interview thinking, what can the shelter lady possibly tell me about cats that I don't already know? And end up in the middle of the interview saying, wow, that is some useful information. So we hope that happens for everybody, that we make it worth your while, and then you take them home. The advantage to us putting the kittens on the surgery schedule prior to them being chosen is it means we can make the interview appointment that much quicker, because we need to get them out of here to make room for all of the kittens that are in our full foster homes. So I don't really need to say much about Caramel. She is beautiful and she's cute, well socialized, and she's going to make somebody really happy, as will all of her brothers and sisters, one of whom you're going to meet in just a moment. We are back with Sharon, and Sharon is a sister of Caramel, and often people are surprised how different kittens in the same litter can look. And so a lot of people assume that must mean that they have different dads, which is biologically possible, but usually not necessary, because a cat, the genes for cat colors and coats all come in all of the alley cats that we commonly call domestic short hairs. So a brown tabby can absolutely be the sister of a long-haired calico or tortoiseshell, as in this case. So these little kittens were a pretty big litter, and they went through our foster care program, which is a really great way to adopt a kitten, because these kittens have already been litter trained and played around in a house and gotten time with each other to learn not to play rough. The nice thing about being able to keep litters together is that when they wrestle and bite and grab each other and accidentally hurt each other, and then their litter mate withdraws from them as a punishment for being too rough, they actually learn to be gentle. And it's a great thing for socializing kittens that are going to be pets, because cats do like to fake hunt as a form of play. And it's very nice for them to learn that being gentle when they're fake hunting is a good idea if they want to keep the game going. And there are plenty of kittens to choose from in this particular batch, but as I mentioned before, we have a shelter full and foster homes full of beautiful tiny cats that need to find new homes. And they're just a bundle of fun. But just like with puppies, there's a little bit of work that you put into it before you get the lovely cat that sits beside you on the couch or lounges by the fireside. You're going to have to get through the next couple of weeks of chasing earrings and eating earbuds and going under the dryer and climbing behind the bookcase, things you never really imagined would happen. One of the things that kittens can do that can be quite dangerous is they can get inside of a recliner chair. So if they do that, you can't recline the chair until you rescue them, because it's dangerous in there for them. But they do silly things and you have to watch over them. So one of the questions that people ask most often is, can you teach a cat not to scratch your belongings? Absolutely. One of the consequences of not training your cat is that you will end up with a 5-year-old cat and a very ratty sofa, and you will talk to your vet about declawing, which number 1 is expensive, and number 2 is not without risk, and number 3 doesn't always solve the problem, because cats can scratch with their back feet, and also can sometimes get a little bit of recovery time needed for the declaw surgery, which results in them finding out that their claws don't work and therefore they should use their teeth. We are back with Tigger, and Tigger has also a bunch of litter mates here in the shelter, Cleo, Calvin, and Sunshine. And this litter displays some interesting behavior. Randy pointed out when he sat down that Tigger's kind of a heavyweight. And so you can take a guess, we do here, that means Tigger might be a big kitty when full grown, but it's not always a guarantee. But one thing I noticed yesterday when they were in their cage playing is that these kittens dip their paw in their water bowl and lick their water off their paw. It's a very common cat behavior and it's very cute. No one really knows why some cats do it and why some cats don't, but the most likely reason would be that they lived in a place where they were getting water from a freshwater source. So they're not going to jump into the creek. Cats don't really like to swim. They can. And obviously there are individuals that do it enjoyably, but most cats don't like to get wet, don't like to swim. So in order to get a drink of water, they're not going to get down close to rushing water and stick their face in it. They're going to dip their paw in and lick off their paw. So that also means that they will have learned some other things from being out and about. And you could say it makes them smarter, but that's, you know, a technicality. That's not really true. What we call it in psychology is growing up in an enriched environment. And kittens and puppies and children that grow up in an enriched environment have less fear of new objects, which is nice. It's part of their socialization. They are more likely to play with items that they find lying around, which just makes them a lot of fun. And as you can see, kittens have their unique personalities just like everyone else. The first kitten that was playing with the laser pointer was Caramel, and she was all about that, all over Randy's shirt and the arm of his chair. And then when Sharon came up, she was interested in the laser pointer, but she didn't really want to chase it too much. And Tigger, nope, he's over it. He can see it. He just wants to purr and hang out in Randy's lap. And these are things that are somewhat changeable. You know, Tigger's going to have playful moments today, but he is not as easily driven by the laser pointer as the two girls were. And this is all part of how you're going to come in and pick out which kitten is best for you. See, laser pointer was not a hit, but the keychain is awesome. So you never know what's going to motivate your kitten. So you can come in and find out which one's a good match for you at the shelter, and we will, you know, take them out for you, let you hold them, let you play with them, and it can be hard to choose, but it makes it easier if you get to interact. Our final guest of today's episode is Spring. And when we have kittens in the shelter like we do right now, a lot of times the older cats are overlooked. And it's important to remember how much easier this is. And Randy makes it look so easy to entertain the kittens that you can't really tell. But when we have kittens in here, they are always half a breath away from leaping from his lap and running around this room wild and crazy. Whereas the adult cats are much more understanding of what it means to be on a person's lap and get some attention. And while Spring would think about walking around the room, she understands that Randy wants her to stay with him by the way that he's scratching her and encouraging her to stay. He's also giving her food so that she'll know it's not playtime, it's you know, comforting time. And since she's willing to eat food from a perfect stranger in a completely strange place, I would say she's a pretty resilient, well-adjusted little kitty. So we've estimated her age at 2 to 3 years old, and her coat is very, very soft. Cats have hair just as different as people's hair. Some is coarse, some is long, some is short, but hers is really soft and silky. She also has some beautiful markings and is you know, quiet little kitty that's going to make you really happy. If you do not want to go through all of the trials and tribulations of kittenhood. So join us next time on Pet Pals, and in the meantime you can choose an animal you have seen today and on petfinder.com share their profile, or you can use the link at the bottom of your screen to share on your social networking sites or through email. Thanks for joining us. Hope we see you next time.